Hey guys, Carl from Purple Moose Plays. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the upcoming On the Road expansion for the polyomino spatial puzzle game, the Grand Carnival, from publisher Uproarious Games and designer Rob Cramer. If you've been following this channel at all, you might know that this was my top solo game of 2020. So when the publisher reached out to me to offer me a chance to look at this prototype copy of this new game or new expansion coming to Kickstarter, I jumped at the opportunity. It had been a while since I'd gotten the game to the table, so I was happy to get it out and try it out again. And I was very, very excited to see just what this expansion is going to bring both to the game itself and to the solo mode, because this expansion is offering sort of a bunch of modular little different expansions within the box, but it's also tweaking and changing up the solo mode as well. So let's head down to the table to see how the new solo mode plays, what kind of new things the expansion brings to the game, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. Okay, so here we are all set up for a solo game of the base game of the Grand Carnival. I'm not going to explain how the base game plays because I have made a video for that already. So if you'd like to see that, click the link that's popping up on your screen right now. So now that we're all set up for a normal game, let's go ahead and add in all of the content from the expansion. I'll set up the expansion and then I'll explain how the expansion plays before we get into our playthrough. So first we're going to place the train engine piece onto the front of the train. And this train engine for now basically just works as a spot to store our mini foundation tiles. So we're going to go ahead and place out the mini foundation tiles. And these mini foundation tiles are double-sided with a buildable foundation on one side and grass on the other side. And it doesn't matter which side is showing because I can use either side when I get them. So I'm just going to split them in half and place them up there on the train. Next, the expansion comes with these 4 enormous attraction tiles. And we're going to choose one of these at random for the game. So place that at the bottom below the other tiles. Next, the expansion also comes with these double foundation tiles, and we're also going to choose one of these at random, also choosing the side of the tile as well. So I think you're really allowed to choose which side, but I like to randomize everything, so I'm going to sort of shuffle them up and flip them over as I shuffle. And then we'll just draw this one from the bottom using that side. And I'm just going to set this to the side for now. We'll start the game by placing that out on our player board, but I want to finish the setup before I make any decisions. The next thing we will do is place out 3 of these peanut markers on each of the one-sized attraction buildings. And then I'm sure you'll notice that the tickets and the customers are not on screen. I've got them off to the left side of the screen, but also with those off to the left side of the screen, we're going to be placing the clown meeples from the expansion. Now in this case, these were just proxied meeples that were sent to me as part of the prototype. They look like the Scythe Polonia meeples to me. Those will go off to the side as well with the tickets and customers. And then off screen as well, we've got these golden ticket tokens that are going to place off to the side with the regular tickets. The last thing we need to set up is sort of the meat and potatoes of this expansion, specifically with the new solo mode, and that is these grand finale cards. I'm going to shuffle these and we're going to place out a number of these, and these will sort of set the difficulty level for the game. For the easy mode you're going to use 3, for the normal mode you'll use 4, and then there's the next level is 5 and the next level is 6. I'm going to be playing normal mode for this, so we will be putting out 4 of these at random. And you'll see that the way that they get placed out is placing 1 each from the right and then wrapping back and placing 1 each again from the right. So in this case with 4 cards, we're going to have 1 here, and 2 over there. So now we are set up for the new expansion solo mode. I do want to mention one thing before we do dive in. The expansion did come with some more of these tricks of the trade cards, and the 3 that you see here, which I'll explain in just a minute when we get into our gameplay, are all from the expansion because I wanted to show you as much of the expansion content as possible, but they do work in basically the same way as the base game. Also, it's worth mentioning, I'm sure you could see it specifically with these cards, they're sleeved, just pieces of paper with a card that I had from another game. All of the expansion content that you saw the clowns were also not really clown meeples. Everything here is prototype for the preview for the Kickstarter that's coming soon. So don't judge any of the expansion pieces based on what you see because all of those things are still being worked on and obviously will be of better quality in the main game. So with all that being said, let's get into how to play the game with the expansion. All right, so the expansion itself consists of a bunch of sort of small modular mini expansions that in the main multiplayer game you can add in little by little, or sort of throw it all in at once. Now, the solo mode as presented sort of throws everything all in at once, but it uses it in slightly different ways, and I'm going to explain sort of how each of these modular pieces works in the regular game. I'll explain sort of what they're useful for or what they do in the solo game, and then we'll go ahead and get into what the solo rules are and dive into our playthrough. So let's go through the modular expansions first. The first ones up here are the peanuts. And I showed you that at the start in the setup, we're going to place 3 peanuts on each of the size 1 attraction tiles. And basically what's going to happen is when we build that attraction, we will put that attraction out with the peanuts on it. And then as soon as we place a ticket on that attraction, we're going to take those 3 peanuts into sort of our personal supply. And then anytime we take an action later on, we can spend a peanut, and each peanut we spend will add 1 to our action value for the action that we're taking at that time. And you'll also see over here, and again I'm going to explain this later, but one of my grand finale cards says that I need to have at least 6 peanuts in my hand. Again, I'll get into what those mean later, but that will be connected to those peanuts. Now in the main game or the multiplayer game, they do exactly what I just said. They're not worth any points. They're not worth anything else. They work exactly the same in both versions of the game. Next we have those golden tickets that I showed you before during setup. And the golden tickets work just like regular tickets, except that when we place a ticket and our customer is orthogonally adjacent to a barker, we're going to place a golden ticket instead of a regular ticket. And in the multiplayer game, they are going to be worth 1 point each for those golden tickets. In the solo game, we're not scoring points, so that's not going to matter. So in this game, the only reason we'll ever need to have golden tickets is if we have a goal that tells us specifically we need to have golden tickets. And you'll see here that my second trick of the trade card, in fact, does say I need to have 3 golden tickets to activate this trick of the trade. So you'll get a chance to see how that works, hopefully, in this playthrough. Next, we have the clowns. And those are those meeples that I showed you before. And the way that clowns work is when you build an attraction, if you use an action that's a higher number than the attraction size, for every sort of 1 number higher than the size you've spent, you get to place 1 clown on that attraction as it's being built. And in the multiplayer game, the way the clowns are going to work is you're going to score 1 point for every guest that is diagonally adjacent to a clown, and each clown can score the same guest multiple times. So if you have 1 guest that's adjacent to 2 clowns, that would score twice for that 1 guest. Again, in the solo game, we're not scoring. So the clowns are useless in the solo game unless we have a card that requires the clowns. And in this case, my second grand finale card over here says I need to have a group of at least 4 clowns. And by group, it means they need to be orthogonally adjacent, and then on at least 3 different attractions. So you will get to see how the clowns work as well in this playthrough. The next modular piece of the expansion is the enormous attraction tile. And this works just like any other attraction tile, except you can see here that is a size 6. So if I want to build this, I'm going to definitely have to use a peanut to increase my action ability to a number 6, because as you know, number 5 is the highest action number possible in the regular game. And while we are talking about that, I might as well take a look at these other cards over here. My third trick of the trade simply says that I need to have built my enormous attraction. And if I do, it's going to allow me that anytime I take a level 1 action, I get to actually take 2 of those level 1 actions at the same time. It does say that they have to be 2 different level 1 actions. Also, we didn't mention this before, so I should right now. That golden ticket one, if I ever do manage to place 3 out, I'm going to activate it that says when I move a guest into the big top, which is the section at the top of the board, I can drop off a ticket on an attraction that touches the big top, which could be nice if we need to start placing tickets later on. Now, the other thing we do want to talk about here is this grand finale card, which also connects to that enormous attraction. I need to fill it with tickets. It means I need to have 6 tickets on that attraction by the end of the game. So it might be that if we have it near the top of the big top, when we use that special ability I just showed you, or we start getting some golden tickets, we're going to aim to put them on there so that we can fill up that enormous attraction. Next, we have the double foundation module, which is this right here. Every player starts with one of these, and I get to start by placing it anywhere on my board before we even get into gameplay. It's great because it's automatically going to cover up 2 foundation spots, and it's going to automatically let me start working on building attractions. But the problem is you can see each space on here now is 4 hammers instead of a single one like on the regular tiles. Means if we don't cover that up in a multiplayer game, we would be losing 4 points at the end of the game. And you'll see in the solo game that those would also count basically ×4 towards our end goal as well. So I need to place that out. But before I place that out, I want to show you the last trick of the trade card I have. Because this one says I need to have a foundation tile in each of the 4 corners. So I might start placing this double foundation tile in one of those 4 corners to automatically start working on this. And if I do this, I'm going to earn 2 mini foundation tiles, which is a perfect segue because the next modular expansion is the mini foundation tile. And a mini foundation tile you're going to get, well, you'll get 2 from this trick of the trade card, but also anytime I use a 5 to take a foundation tile, I will then also, sorry, let me say that again. Anytime I use a 5 or higher, because if I use a 6 to get my enormous attraction and so on, I will take one of these mini foundation tiles. And these again are double-sided. And once I've got one in my sort of personal supply, I can then overlay them at any point in the future, but they have to be placed so that they're covering the opposite of what I'm placing. So I could put a foundation or a buildable space over grass, or I can use grass to cover up one of those buildable spaces. So these are going to be very, very helpful. And also, if later on I have 2 of these, I can place one, say for example, placing this on grass, and then placing grass on top of it, simply to remove them from the game. And the reason that is because any of these that are left in my supply at the end of the game will count 1 point against me. So as long as I have 2 of them, I can cancel them out. But if I just had one, it would end up being a -1 point at the end of the game. And then the final piece of the modular expansion we've already started looking at are these grand finale cards. I have one more that we haven't talked about yet, and that is I need to have at least 10 guests in my fairground. So basically these grand finale cards are going to be cards that you're playing with as sort of more goals to hit. In the multiplayer game, if you hit one of these goals, and there's going to be 1 per player in the game, you'll get 10 points for hitting that card by the end of the game, and only 1 player can ever hit any of those grand finales. But in the solo game, it's sort of going to be sort of the main point of our game. And let me explain how this works. In the original solo game, I had to be able to get this trick of the trade card before the end of round 2, or it goes away. This one by the end of 3, or it goes away. And this one by the end of round 4, or it goes away. That's true here as well. But in addition to that, we're looking now around 5, 6, and 7 for these 3 piles of grand finale cards. If I don't complete this by the end of round 5, it's gone. By the end of round 6, it's gone. And these both by the end of round 7, or they are gone. And why that's important is this. In the new solo mode, at the end of the game, I'm going to count up how many of these grand finale cards I didn't complete, how many hammers are still showing on my board, and how many attractions I've placed that have 0 tickets on them. And that total score is going to be my end game score. If I can get a 0, I have scored basically a perfect score. If I score a 5 or higher, I've basically lost the game. So I need to make sure that I have somewhere between 0 and 4 points at the end of the game. Again, points coming from incomplete grand finale cards, uncovered hammers on foundation tiles or on my board, and finally, attractions that I've built and placed no tickets on. So it's going to sort of be an efficiency puzzle. So I need to make sure I fill my enormous attraction with tickets. I need to make sure I have at least 10 guests in my fairground. I need to make sure I have at least 6 peanuts at some point in my hand, which means I'm going to have to collect a bunch of them before I start using any of them. And then I need to make sure I have a group of at least 4 clowns adjacent to each other on at least 3 different attractions. So let me start by placing out this double foundation, and we will get into our gameplay. Now, I would love to place in such a way that I can get some singles out early, because I need lots of peanuts to get that card taken care of. I also need to make sure that I'm filling the 4 corners, and I've got lots of guests in my attraction. Getting the big attraction out early will be nice because that split 1 power is really nice to have. Yes. And actually, if I can figure out a way to make some clowns adjacent to stuff using those ones with those peanuts, it's not a bad idea. So I'm going to place this out here. We cover one corner, and we've got some sort of grass way for this guy to get out of there, and we'll play from there. All right, I want to begin by taking a level 2 action, which gets me a level 1 attraction, but also I will put a clown on there because I spent a 2 to place a 1, means I get to place a clown right there. I will also then take a level 1 action to place out my second peanut, or my second food stand with peanuts on it. Now that was a 1 to spend a 1, so no clown gets placed, but that's okay. Then I need to start thinking about some foundation. I need to make sure I have stuff that's connected to my clowns. I'd like to start thinking about how this attraction gets placed. And yeah. Okay, I'm gonna spend my, I don't have any peanuts yet, and I can't get that 6 out until I get all my peanuts into my hand. Then I'd like to be able to place so that I can connect things to this to make sort of a pile of clowns. Filling my enormous attraction with tickets by round 5 is going to be tricky, but we're going to work to get it done. All right, so I am going to take a 5 action to take this, which also gets me a mini tile. Now, anytime I take a foundation, they do get replaced. Well, they'll slide to the left and get replaced. And I will put that there. And then I'm going to spend a 4 to build a 2, which puts me 2 there and gets me 2 clowns, because 4 minus 2 lets me place 2. So I will place out 2 clowns right there. And right now I'm already just 1 clown away from getting my group of 4 clowns on 3 attractions. I just need to find a way to place another attraction. And then it's a little bit of a waste, but I don't care. I'm going to place this 3 to move this guy 1 step in, because I can place a ticket on both of these 2 level 1s, which gets me 3 peanuts there, and gets me these 3 peanuts there as well, which means now I have 6 peanuts. So I'm going to mark with the golden ticket that snack food grand finale has been taken care of. Now I've got peanuts that I can start spending for next round, and I can hopefully get my big, enormous attraction built so that I can start working towards these other things. I think probably I'm going to skip working on these 4-corner tricks of the trade card, because I've only got 1 more round, and it's really not that important to me to get this done, because it doesn't hurt me at the end of the game if it's not done. It just means I don't get that power. Those 2 I need to focus on more, especially this showstopper. And if I can use those golden tickets as a way to fill up my enormous attraction, even better. Then, that's the end of the round. I'm going to clear out these 4 tiles and place out 4 new tiles. This slides to the next round, and we get started. These all get reset. So I need to make it priority right now to get my enormous attraction built and filled with tickets. I also need to make it a semi-priority to get more guests out into the fairground. So I would also not mind filling that in with a level 1 attraction, but I could always cover it up with a mini foundation tile as well. All right, so let's see what we're going to do. I really want to get my big attraction built, but I also don't want to block off too much space. Realistically, though, that's not bad. Placing over here might be even better, if I can get some grass that goes here. But that means I need 3 spaces. Yeah, I guess any way that this gets placed, it's going to need 3 spaces taken care of. So I can see that. that would be, no, because that's the wrong side. All right, I'm going to take that level 3 tile, and I'm going to end up converting this into a 4 with my mini foundations so that I can place this on top of it at some point. And I think I'm going to put it there. Those slide over. This flips. Then I need to get, something that has that top corner and something that has that bottom corner. I'm going to take my 1 action to draw at random and hope I get lucky for that bottom left corner. I did not. This doesn't help me at all. So I'm going to put this here just to start opening up space so that I can, I'm going to take that too, because that will get me a little bit closer, because it does get me that spot that I liked before. Slide those over, flip that. Yeah, the problem with this tile is that I want to be able to make sure that this guy can get out. So later on, when I hopefully get another mini foundation tile, I'm going to place a grass there to get through. Also, real quick, I do want to make a different decision about this tile. I'm going to place that over here, because I'm worried I need to remember that I have to make an adjacent attraction there to place another clown to complete that 4 clowns on 3 attractions grouped together. All right, so we've got 2 more actions for the round. I'm going to use the 5 and the 4. I'm going to use the 5 to place a foundation, even though I'm going to take this 4. Because if I do that, I do get a foundation tile. And then I get to place this out. If I place this here, we should then be able to place that there. But, before I start moving people, I want to get a barker out on the board. So I'm not going to place that this round. We're going to place that next round. I want to use my number 4. And it's kind of a waste, but I'm going to use my number 4 to move this guy here, which does get me placed 1 ticket in that attraction. So that won't hurt me at the end of the game, but also it means that my entry is empty. So I can place out 2 more of those guys and place out a barker. Now, remembering that, the barker is going to let me place out a golden ticket if I build while adjacent to it. So if I move this guy here, I can build a golden ticket on that 6 enormous attraction, and that's going to really help. So we're going to slide that over. I'm going to put these here, but it's the end of the round, so all 4 of those go away. We move to round 3. Oops. We refill the board. We reset all our actions, and now we can go ahead and move into the next round. Now, I am going to use this one here to make that grass, and I am going to use this one here. It's not going to stay there because as soon as I build on it, it's going to go away, but I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to take my 5 and spend 1 peanut to place out that 6 enormous attraction there. So that tile goes away. Then, because I placed with higher than a 5, sorry, no, that's not a foundation. I don't get anything for that. Okay, so that's been placed out, which means I have done the showstopper. So I'm going to place one of my meeples over there, which means from now on, when I take a 1, I actually get to take 2 different level 1 actions, which is going to be great. It's going to help me get people out on the board, which I need for this one. And it's going to help me sort of start pulling out or start doing some more other stuff. I expect that I'm filling in this hole with, I'm going to have to, with a mini foundation, because even if I put a 1 there, I can't get a person in there anymore because of the barker. So that's going to be an issue, but we'll work that out later. I do need to fill in more spaces. I do need to get more people moving around on the board. So I'm going to take that level 1 double action, and the first thing I'm going to do is move in here, which means I'm next to the Barker. That's already got a ticket and it's 1, so it doesn't get anything else. But I will get a golden ticket on that attraction for being next to the Barker. For my other level 1 action, I could place a level 1 building there. I could take any of that stuff. Remember, I can always use my peanuts to upgrade that other level 1 action. Yeah, I'm just going to take a random tile, not spending peanuts, and see what we get. All right. That's not great, but it's not the end of the world. I'm going to put that there. Because that still leaves a pathway here, and if I put grass here, it leaves a pathway there as well. And yeah, I need to start filling stuff in. I only need one more clown to hit my goal, so I'm going to spend a 4 to place this 3, which does get me my 4th clown in a group. So I'll go ahead and mark off that grand finale as done. And yeah, I need to start getting people out of the way, because I need to have 10 guests in my fairground by the end, but I also need to make sure that we have 6 tickets on here by the end of the 5th round. So I'm going to spend my 2. Hold on. I got a Barker. He can move. I want him to go as far as possible up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need 4. I'm going to spend a 3 and a peanut to make it a 4. Plus that is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goes there, and I put a 2nd ticket on my enormous attraction. I've got one more action. I need to think about placing more tiles, more buildings, more stuff. I don't really care about any more buildings. I just need to fill up stuff so that there's nothing showing anymore. And I need to get more people out on the board. I don't want to try and get this guy out because there's nothing for him to drop a ticket anywhere anyway. Tempted to use that 2 as a 5 to place out that 5 and get a mini foundation, which will cover that hole. Yeah, let's do that. It may be a waste. It may hurt me later, but I'm spending 3 peanuts and a level 2 action to get a 5, which means I take this one. And yeah, why not? I'd like to get the rest of those peanuts. So I'm going to put that there just to keep the board open. That gets me another mini foundation. Now I'm going to instantly place it down here in the corner just to cover up that hole. If I need to later, I can move a customer there just to get them off the board. Or sorry, onto the board, get them off the entry so we can add more in. We fill in that spot, but again, it's not going to matter. We just clear that board for the end of the round. Now, it's worth mentioning I didn't do this at the end of the last round. End of the 2nd round, this goes away because we didn't get it. End of the 3rd round now, this also goes away. Again, these don't hurt me in any way. It's sad that I didn't get them because I don't get to use the bonuses, but it's more important that we get all of these done, everything covered, and all attractions with tickets before the end of the game. So we're moving into round 4. And this is where I need to start being careful and focusing on moving people around, because I need to fill my enormous attraction and have at least 10 guests by the end of round 5 and 6. And I'm in round 4 now. So those are the 2 things I need to prioritize hugely. Everything slides off here. Well, I'm going to start by using my double one first to place out this food stand right there. And I get to move somebody. I'd like to move somebody over here, but until he comes on, that's not going to happen. So we could take a 2 move with him. Yeah, I'm just going to move them there for my 2nd one, because then I get those peanuts to use if I need to. And a ticket goes right there. Good. And then that emptied up, so I get 2 more guests to place out. And another Barker gets placed somewhere. I want to put the Barker somewhere I'm never going, but that's not a good idea because I still need to get golden tickets. Oh, no, I don't. The golden tickets was part of that, so I don't care. Then I'm just going to bury the Barker back in there. Yeah. Okay. Then, again, prioritizing tickets here. I need 4 tickets here. I need 6 more people out on the board. So we need to get people out and tickets placed. So I am going to move. Yeah, I'll just do a 2 move here, which gets me 4 because of the barkers. I'm going there to place another ticket on that attraction. And then, sure, 3 to move this guy up here to place a ticket out on this attraction. So now all my attractions have tickets. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people out on the board. I still need 4 more by the end of 2 more rounds from now. Okay, I see that I have a level 4 that'll fill that 5 perfectly. And also by taking 5, I will get mini tiles that will allow me to cover things that I'm not covering with a building. So, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take that 5, replace it with a tile, get myself a mini tile, and I'm gonna place it here. Wait a minute, hold on. It's too late now, but I need to get more grass in here to get some people moving. So we'll hold off on that for a minute. But again, I need to fill in all that stuff anyway. So I'm going to use that 4 to place that there. Because hopefully in the next round we'll see a lot more grass. These have a lot of hammers on them. So this clears out. Nothing happens at the end of round 4 except this would flip, but I've already got it, so it stays. And we refill. And move on to round 5. Now this is the round that I need to finish my enormous attraction with tickets. It means I need 3 more tickets on this attraction or I'm in trouble. So I need grass instantly. I'm actually going to spend my 1 and 2 peanuts to take that 3 to place there. No, I'm not, because then they can't. Wow, yes, they can. That goes there. I'm using the mini foundation immediately to cover that up. Now, I still have the ability to move or take another single 1 action. So I'm going to move him 2 because I do have 2 barkers. I can go up to 3 movement, which places another ticket here. Then I'm going to take a 2 and just move this guy around the corner to place another ticket there. Now remembering by the end of the next round I need to have 10 guests on the fairground. I have 6, so I need 4 more coming in. So I will take, hold on, let me slide this over and see what's happening. Because I do still need to fill in spaces. Ooh, I like that 5. Because with that 5, I can build the 5 in the corner like that and cover up another space, which is great. All right, then I'm moving a 3 to get this guy out of here to there, which places my last ticket in my enormous, which is amazing, because that does get me this sold out goal. I'll do that. I'm going to take that 5 to place here in the corner. And then get a mini foundation tile. And then I'm using the 4 plus a peanut to place out that 5 like that. Yes, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need to prioritize getting 3 more people on the board next round. Hold on, I fill in this hole and we clear for the end of the round. I flip over all of these guys again. Oh, those are nice. Lots of grass is good for filling in near end game. Round 6, we need to finish this now. I need 3 more people on the board. And that really should not be hard to do. Yes. All right. Let's turn all our actions back on. I want a 1. Plus a peanut. Is that a waste of a peanut? Maybe, but we'll find out. Because I'm going to take that 2 and I want to make sure I can do it. Place that there. And we'll see. We may cover that with a grass or we may build something there. But let's wait and see what happens. because I also get one more single action, which is going to be a move for sure, which can be up to, now that I have 2 barkers, up to 3 spaces. So we might as well move this guy 1, 2, 3 here. Doesn't matter for the solo game because I only need 1 ticket on each location, but there's 2 tickets now for that location. I fill in 2 more customers. And then I get a barker. I'm just going to bury him because it doesn't matter at this point. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people out on the board. So I need to make sure I do 2 more moves for sure. And right now, getting them on the board isn't gonna matter because I blocked off that space. So I can't like fly up to fix something. So I might as well take a 2 to move him up 2. And yeah, it doesn't hurt to use smaller numbers. Anyway, let's just get him out of the way. No more barkers, but that's fine. These fill in. I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people on the board, so I will go ahead and mark the big crowd goal. I've hit all my goals. So now my main goal for the next round and a half is to fill in those spots and put tickets on anything that I've built. So, more grass is always a good thing. Yeah. If I take that, I don't really want to build that much, but that's okay. I'm going to take a 5 to place this 4. No, I don't have any more curvy 3s. Hold on. I was hoping to make a 3 like that with these 2 tiles, but that's not going to help me right now. Means I am going to use a 5 because I would like more mini foundation because I can start filling things in, and I'll use it to just take this 2. There's a potential I can turn that into something if I put another 1 there, but we're going to hold off. But I do get a foundation for that. And then I think I'm going to use my 4. No, yeah. No, hold on. Let's see what I get. Ooh, there's an all grass one. Yeah. All right, I'm going to take my 4. No, I don't have a peanut anymore. Damn, that was a waste of my 5. Okay. That 5 would have been great now. That's okay. I'm just going to use the 4 to move. So I'm going to move this guy up to the top to put a ticket on this 5. So now it's got a ticket. I don't lose points for it at the end of the game. These go away. And we fill in. And those are not nice. Do I have a T4? I do not. This is not gonna, ooh, hold on. No, those L's are the wrong direction for that 4. I don't have anything that's gonna help me with, a 2 is not bad though. Oh, actually, I think we've done fine. Okay, we're gonna be fine. Reset everything. I've got to place some stuff. I want to place out, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna place a 5 to take this, which gets me another foundation tile. And then at this point, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna place a 2, a 3 to take this guy, put it there. Those should slide. And I should have filled in. Okay. I don't have any way to place anything else anymore. So now I just need to start building things. I'm going to build a 2 here. And then I'm going to do a 1. I'm not going to use my double 1 because there's no second action for me to do this time, but I'm going to move this guy 2 up here, place a ticket on there, and a ticket on there. And then that's basically it. I've done it. I'm going to cover up those 3 spaces. And my last action does nothing, but I'll just move this guy 1, 2, 3, 4 up here, put a ticket there. That's the end of the game. So with that, we count how many grand finale cards we didn't accomplish. I did accomplish all 4 of those, so that's 0. We count how many attractions I have that have 0 tickets on them, which right now is none. And we count the number of unbuilt foundation spaces, which are the hammer spaces. Again, on my board right now, there are none. So I actually finished with a score of 0, which is the best I could get. And when we finish, we actually take a look at the rulebook because it shows you your sort of score title based on what difficulty you've played and what score you received. So with a 0, I've got legendary, and on normal mode, I'm a promoter. So I have just earned the title of legendary promoter. And since here I am doing a preview of this game for Kickstarter, it's very fitting. Now, normally during this time, I'd take a look at the components, but as this is just a prototype for a Kickstarter preview, none of the components are real components, so I can't really do that. But what I would like to do while I'm down here is I want to show you the rest of the grand finale cards and the new tricks of the trade cards. So for the tricks of the trade cards, we've got free peanuts, which if I claim 2 peanuts, I will then be able to split a 5 action into 2 different actions when taking foundation tiles. That's also really powerful. I like this one a lot, like I like that number 1 double. Here, if I have 3 mini foundations, I can move my guests through barkers, which is actually really cool. Here, send in the clowns, and you can kind of get an idea here what the clown meepers are going to look like. In this case, if I have 2 clowns in my fairground, I can then gain a guest on an entry space when I've only moved 1 off instead of having to move 2 off to refill the entries. And then finally, this last one, head start, I have to cover all the construction areas on that double foundation tile I start with, and if I do, it lets me flip the tiles as I place them 180 degrees, which is actually really helpful because it makes things a whole lot more flexible when building things. Now the other grand finale cards, you'll have to excuse the glare a little bit because these are in sleeves. First, full house, have at least 4 guests in the big top, which is cool. I very rarely move guys all the way up to the top, but for this one I sort of have to do that. Pack them in, have a group of at least 5 connected attractions, and each of them has at least 1 ticket. Completionist, which the goal is to cover all of the foundation spaces in my fairground, which basically you have to do anyway if you want the perfect score in a solo mode. Although it's worth mentioning for this one, when it says foundation spaces, that just means on the board. You could still have hammers showing on the tiles, so it wouldn't necessarily be a perfect score. Go for gold, you have to have at least 10 golden tickets on attractions. That one's kind of tricky because you got to put those barkers in the right places. Trickster says you have done all 3 tricks of the trade. That makes things extra difficult for solo mode when that pops up. All the rides, you have to have at least 10 attractions in your park. Get the word out, have at least 3 barkers on the board. Ticketmaster, have at least 18 tickets out on your attractions. And yeah, that's all of the grand finale cards. So that's basically it for the expansion content as far as the solo game is concerned. Now meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the new expansion and the new solo mode. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. As I mentioned up top, this was my top solo game of 2020. So I was really excited to hear that there was more coming for this game. Now I did pull it back out to play the base game a few more times before diving in with the new expansion content. And I do have to say that if I played just the main solo game by itself now, with all of the other games I've been playing in the last year or 2, I'm not sure it would be my top solo at this point. But it would still be very high on my list, and I still really do enjoy the game that comes in the base box for this game. Now, with that being said, I have played the expansion quite a bit now, and I have to say that with the expansion included in this, it does go back up real close to the top. I don't know if it's my favorite game of the year, but it's very, very, very close. I really love what this expansion is doing. But before I talk about the new solo and talk about the whole thing overall, I wanted to run through all of the modules and what I think about them and what they add to the game and so on. So we'll start with the peanuts. The peanuts I really, really, really love because those sort of one-size buildings in the original game, you have to put some of them out because you are mitigating, having enough of each different size ride or different size attraction in your park. So you do have to put them out for something, but you only get one ticket on them, and they sort of fill in holes, but they also they're not big enough that you can sort of chain them with other buildings very easily. So they weren't the greatest buildings to begin with. So to be able to add something to those size 1 buildings is cool to begin with. But then to have these tokens that allow me to spend them as +1 indefinitely. I mean, I only used them each one of them once, but I can use more than one of them at the same time to sort of turn a 2 into a 5 or do some crazy stuff like that. And the ability to stretch my actions and to make my actions stronger and to aim for sort of 2 big buildings on a turn, or to aim for 2 of the more expensive foundation tiles on a turn, or to sort of send my guys running across the board to get more of them into the big top for late game scoring, or to hit those goals in the solo mode is really, really cool. So I think the Peanuts is a really, really great addition to this game. Now, the next 2 modules sort of do the same kind of thing, at least in the solo mode, and that is the golden tickets and the clowns. Now, in the solo mode as it stands, just the solo mode, both of these are basically useless because the golden tickets are supposed to be scoring you 1 point extra per ticket, and the clowns are supposed to be scoring you based on the location of your customers at the end of the game. But in this case, in the solo mode, you're not scoring anything. So as I read the rules, I thought these 2 modules are useless. I can't really use them in the solo game, blah, 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 blah. But remembering, with these new grand finale cards, with the sort of solo game goal-focused end game, and the new tricks of the trade that also make use of these modules, these 2 expansions or 2 modules to the game, while they don't affect sort of the goal or the end game scoring of the solo right out of the box, they both add really interesting twists to the puzzle. Because if I have a grand finale or trick of the trade that uses either these clowns or the golden tickets, what that means is the way that I think about the game needs to be changed in some way. First, the clowns, right? The clowns force me to use an action by wasting sort of points, right? I'm using a 4 to take a 2. I'm using a 3 to take a 2, so I can place those clowns out because the difference in my action number and the size of the building that I place lets me place those clowns out, which is both bad because it's wasteful. I'm wasting those action points, but it's also cool both in this multiplayer and the solo, especially in multiplayer where they score you points, but it's also cool that very often I have big numbers left at the end of a round, and I don't have anything big to use them on. So to give me an option to use them on something lower, to then do something that helps in some other way, is pretty cool to have. Now the golden tickets, I'm going to take that even a step further because this throws a really cool puzzle when I'm required to have them in the solo mode or in order to score points in the multiplayer game, and that is the barkers. The barkers were a bit of a problem mostly because as you move or as you clear both of the entrances of your park, you place a barker. And in the base game, the barkers are sort of just getting in the way because you can't move your character or your customers through the barker. So when you're placing the barker, you're sort of trying to find the most out of the way place on your board to place that barker so that it doesn't get in the way later when you're trying to move the customers across the board. And it's sort of a throwaway. Like, I'll just stick it in the corner somewhere, or I'll stick it in a hole between 2 attractions that I know nobody will ever get to. And it doesn't really add to any thought or any puzzle or any fun to the game. It's just, ooh, because I have a barker now, I can move further on a movement turn, and I lose 1 space or 1 block on the board, but ultimately it doesn't hurt that bad. In this case, if I'm trying to chain golden tickets, especially if I have that grand finale that requires lots of golden tickets on my board, I really have to think about where I'm placing those barkers and how I'm placing those barkers not only in relation to where I'm moving so it doesn't block stuff up, but also in relation to where the attractions are going so that I can maximize the ability to place a customer that's both adjacent to a barker and adjacent to an attraction. And if I can get it to be adjacent to a barker and adjacent to 2 attractions, even better, because then I can place 2 golden tickets at the same time. And that is a new sort of spatial puzzle that's being added here, regardless of whether or not the scoring matters in the solo game. And I think that's really, really cool when those goals come up in the solo game. Next, we've got the big attraction. Now, the big attraction is just big. It gives you a reason that you need to use the peanuts, because the only way you'll ever build it is using peanuts, because you'll never get a level 6 action otherwise. It does make things cool because it does make it fun to sort of fit it into a spot that is going to be tricky to build. It's not going to be something that fits in a single cube or 2. You're very often expanding or extending over 3 spots on your player board. So it does make you think a little bit harder about that. Also, because it's so big and because they're generally awkwardly shaped, being able to get your customers to sort of walk around them and go around them in order to place tickets in those big attractions is pretty puzzly, and I like that. Now, probably of all of the things that have been added, that's my least favorite addition as far as overall feel of changing the game, but it does add something fresh. It does make you sort of plan ahead because, again, you do need those peanuts to place it, and it does make the game a little bit more interesting. So I'm happy to see them there. Plus, they're really cool because they're themed to like Adventureland and Fantasyland and Dinosaur World and Outer Space Land. So it sort of makes your little carnival feel more amusement park-like. And I think that's a cool addition thematically as well. Next, we've got those double foundation tiles. I think these are really cool because, number one, it gives me a way to start focusing on something at the beginning of the game. Where am I going to start placing my attractions? Where am I going to start making pathways for my customers to go? And I start with 2 spaces on the board that sort of pushes me in a certain direction, or at least forces me to focus in a certain direction. But at the same time, each of the uncovered spaces on those double foundation tiles has 4 hammers on it. That means I must cover those with something. Now, that's not always hard to cover something with something during the game if you're aiming for small things or you're trying to make these big attractions that fill a ton of space. So it's not necessarily a hard thing to do, but it really does make you focus on that tile. If you don't do it, you're going to be in trouble. So you got to get that taken care of before not anything else, but before lots of other things, because that's really going to crush you if you don't get it done. So it's giving you this early game boost, but also sort of this mid-game, you got to take care of this problem or it's going to be a real problem kind of situation. And I think that's pretty cool. Then we've got those mini foundation tiles, right? I really like these because, again, I mentioned before, sometimes I have throwaway large actions that I don't really need anything that's big, but I've got a 5 that I got to use for something. So I might as well use it on a foundation tile, even if I'm taking a level 1 or a 2 tile, so that I can get those mini foundation tiles. Because they do 2 things. Number 1, they make it much more flexible for me to fit in these weird shapes because I can suddenly just throw in 1 more piece and now it fits perfectly on my board. But also you can place the grass side of things, which means especially in this new solo mode, when I got to fill in everything, if I've got an empty space somewhere and I can't figure out a way to put an attraction there, boom, I just stick a piece of grass on that spot and everything is good. So it's a really, really, really helpful way to mitigate some of the randomness that comes out of the game, because I can sort of make small patches and bandage up the small areas that sort of ruin my plans or ruin my strategy based on a random draw. And that means that using a level 1 to take a random tile is a little bit less scary too if I've got one of those mini foundation tiles. So I like what that does to the game as well. Now, finally, the grand finale cards. I can't really talk about these as a modular thing because this is the new solo mode. Now, granted, in a multiplayer game, you score 10 points, whoever gets that card, and only one person can get that card. So it is this sort of race to really big points, and I think that's probably a pretty cool thing in multiplayer, but sadly, I still have yet to play this game multiplayer. Solo, again, this is the new solo mode, and I absolutely love it. I thought I loved what I was given in the base, and now I have to say I truly love what I'm given in this expansion. And that's because what I've always loved about this game is that, differently from other polyomino games, this game is not about efficient. This is not about packing in shapes in the most efficient way to sort of fill out the maximum space of your board with all of these strange shapes. Because we need the customers to be able to walk through. Because we need the customers to be able to get adjacent to these attractions to place tickets into them. So this game has always been about sort of building this map of strange shapes and pathways through those strange shapes, and then figuring out a way to place the strange shapes on those locations in this sort of developed pathway or plan that you've set out for you. And this sort of pushes you to do that more, because it used to be that I was trying to place as many of the buildings as I could. But now I've got very specific, very unique goals that I need to get done every game. And depending on how those goals come out, the way that I'm going to do these things is going to change quite a bit. And the way that I place things is going to change quite a bit, because maybe I'm placing things so that I maximize the barkers to get golden tickets. Right? Or maybe I'm placing things to maximize space so that I can get more customers onto the board like I did in this playthrough. If I didn't have space, I couldn't have gotten 10 people out of the gates to add new customers coming in. If you get a block up of the pathways, I can't get anybody new, and if I don't get anybody new in, I can't spawn anybody new at the entrances. So depending on the goal cards that you have, the way that this polyomino puzzle plays out in a different way, because there's different sort of strategies and tactics that need to be done in order to meet those goals. And basically in all of these, none of these are those normal fit the polyominoes together in the prettiest way possible, except for some of them, like the clowns we had to get adjacent to each other, or the goal that has 5 attractions chained together. But even still, it's more about the pathways in between than it is necessarily about how things interlock. And I still really, really, really like that about this game. Now, the addition of the goals is really cool. These grand finale cards, which I'm calling goals, is really cool because it really forces me to play and to think about this game differently every time, and it really adds in a ton of variability, right? I've got these different grand finale cards, and now I've got some new trick of the trade cards, and one of the grand finale cards tells me I need to get all 3 tricks of the trade done too. So it really pushes my brain to solve this puzzle the best way that I can, and it becomes this really interesting efficiency puzzle because I know that I have 7 rounds of 5 actions. So I've got 35 actions. Now, some of the things will let me split actions into 2 actions, or let me take a double action, which you saw in my playthrough and explanation just now. But basically, you've got 35 actions to accomplish all of the things that need to be done. And it really is an efficiency puzzle. If I spend too much time focusing on things that aren't actually things that I need to get done, I'm not going to finish everything. You saw me sort of abandon some of the tricks of the trade this time because I knew I didn't need to get them done to finish the game, and I had to focus on these other things. And because I did focus specifically on the things that I needed to get done, I managed to finish with 1 action left in the game, right? So it really does become this, how do I maximize each action, the use of each action, or the efficacy of each action in order to get as much done as I can with each thing that I'm doing so that I can fit all of the goals into the game. Now there are 4 different difficulty levels, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of these grand finale cards. I've only played up to 4 so far. 3 is pretty easy. 4, I think I win more often than I don't, but it's not a cakewalk. Don't make it seem that my playthrough that I just won made it look easy. You saw that I only had 1, maybe 2 actions left at the end to extra at the end of the game that I sort of wasted. So it wasn't like I won and then just sat back and let the game play out. I did have to work all the way up until the last round, and I was focusing very heavily from the beginning, and I have played this game quite a bit, so I understand a little bit how this stuff works. It's likely that from now on I'll probably push to 5 cards, but I suspect 5 cards is going to be really, really, really difficult. And I don't know that I really need that kind of challenge, so I might stick with 4 and just keep aiming for that perfect. But again, if I got perfect with 4 cards, getting to 5 and aiming for a middling score might be more fun because I'll have more goals to juggle while I'm playing. All that said, I really, really love this new solo mode. I'm very excited to see that the game has become what it has become. I should talk a minute here about the multiplayer. Again, I haven't played the multiplayer, but in addition to the modules in the multiplayer, this is the on-tour kind of expansion for this game. So there's also this sort of mini campaign. It's not a campaign because it doesn't connect, but it tells the sort of story thematically of you traveling from town to town with your carnival. The first 4 towns or first 4 stops or first 4 games that you play in this sort of mini campaign are just going to sort of introduce the different modules and little by little so that you can get used to using them. And then the last 4 stops, which I'm really excited to try out, hopefully if I ever get to play this multiplayer, is each of the last 4 stops or each of the last 4 games in this sort of mini campaign gives you a bunch of these modules and then completely changes the scoring and says, at this station or at this town in this game, you score this way. It's completely different than what the regular rules tell you. And now you're on to the next stop and the scoring changes completely again. And I really love this sort of thematic idea of different stops along this sort of carnival tour, but also the fact that they slowly feed you in the modules, teach you how they work, and then give you 4 unique game scoring situations, basically 4 new games in the box that uses these modules in different combinations and in different ways in the gameplay. And again, I haven't played any of these, so I can't really talk to how different they are from each other and how much things really change up. But from what I've seen in the difference between the solo and the base and the solo and this expansion, I'm very excited to get everything to the table and play multiplayer. So basically, to wrap all of this up, if you're a solo player and you enjoyed the first game, I strongly recommend this new game for the solo expansion. If you enjoyed the base game and you're looking for more, the modules in here definitely twist things up to make them very interesting. If you play this multiplayer and solo, this is a very strong recommend for all of the different variability and all of the different options you get here. If you're playing solo only and you weren't so thrilled about the base game or you haven't really played the base game, play the base game first. Make sure this is something for you because it's not like it's fixing something or changing something dramatically that's going to make the game different for you. But again, if you didn't like the base game or you don't really know much about the base game, you're probably not looking into the expansion yet anyway. So for me, as a solo player, it's a strong recommend. As a multiplayer gamer, it's a strong recommend. And if you play both multiplayer and solo and you have this game and enjoy it, I would say this is almost a must-own. It's not going to make the game amazing if you didn't already like it, but it is adding a ton of variability. It's adding a lot of new fun, a lot of new puzzles to think about. These new grand finale cards add great goal and great sort of focus and different pushing to change up the tactics and strategy with every play. I'm going to get this to the table a whole lot more with this expansion. I'm excited for everybody else to get a chance to try this out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you did enjoy it and it was helpful to you, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell below. It does help out my channel. I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Thanks.